Hello everyone, my name is Luke, aka Mr. Rage, and welcome back to another one of my video game discussion videos. I hope you guys are doing well today. Before I start this video, this is gonna sound a bit awkward, but I am not feeling very well today. Might be something I ate, I don't know. But when I say I don't feel good, I mean shit, I do not feel good. I got a headache and a rash, so if I sound a bit grumpy or disgruntled in this video, that's most likely the reason why, because your boy's in a little bit of pain here. So yeah, just cut me some slack. Hopefully you can understand if I just don't sound that happy in this video, because, well, why would I be? I mean, my balls are literally on fire and my head is pounding. So, you know, that's why I fucking hate summertime. You know, like when you got headaches like this, the blistering hot weather outside, because it's in the 90s right now, just makes it worse. So yeah, fucking hate summer. But anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know how have you guys been doing. I know I've been gone for a little while. Mr. Rage, why you haven't been uploading? You've been leaving us hanging. I apologize. Just been trying to focus on my own life, so I apologize for that. But as you can see, I'm back with another upload. But yeah, just let me know, how have you guys been doing? You know, how's life been treating you guys? How are you guys doing out there? Yeah, just let me know down in the comments. I love interacting with my subscribers, my community. I love you guys in general because, you know, you guys have done a lot for me. You know, you watch my videos. You know, you enjoy my content. Doing that for me is like giving me $1 million. You know, it's something I've always wanted to do on this platform. You know, making videos that people enjoy. So, you know, just showing a little bit of appreciation, just giving you guys some love, because it's a pleasure. I love you guys, love my community, and I love interacting with you guys. And the last thing I want to say before I get straight into the topic of today's discussion video is I am working on a brand new Discord server. I understand I already got one, but that server is just for the community. My second Discord server that I am currently working on is a server for the horror community. So fans of horror movies, horror games, just horror fans in general. Just one big giant server. Hopefully it'll be a big giant server for all horror fans, a place where horror fans can unite, can be together, because I don't know if I'm not looking right, but I'm not seeing a lot of horror Discord servers on Discord. So I'm gonna be making my own, you know, and obviously my channel subscribers can join as well. I mean, you know, why not? But anyways, I will let you guys know when the server is ready. The server's already made. I'm just adding the final touches, you know, the bots, the security, the roles, everything. So the server should be out soon. But anyways, now that that's over with, let's get straight into the topic of today's discussion video. Silent Hill 2 Remake. My most hyped game of 2024. There is actually not a single other game that has had me as hyped up as Bloober Team's hopefully fateful remake of Silent Hill 2. This is a game that I have been hyped for since the first moment I saw it back during October 2022. I've been hyped up ever since, and I was really disappointed back in 2023 because, you know, honestly, the marketing for this game has been fucking awful. Like, they should have been fucking trying to sell this shit, dude. Like, they should have been trying to hype this up since the moment they showed a trailer back in October of 2022. Like, back in 2023, we barely got any news. You know, like, they've just done such a horrible job at marketing this game. So, you know, that's actually my first real problem with Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I'm not going to blame Bloober Team, okay? I actually just made a post on the channel. Bloober Team loves the original Silent Hill 2. As a matter of fact, Silent Hill, the whole Silent Hill franchise, was Bloober Team's inspiration for their own game. So I highly doubt that Bloober Team would be making such stupid decisions. Look, Konami has Bloober Team on a tight fucking leash, you know? They got them on a tighter leash than a goth girl has her boyfriend on a leash. You know, that's how fucking tight it is. You know, they got Bloober Team by the balls. So all the decisions that are being made with Silent Hill 2 Remake, whether it's with marketing or just everything else, Konami is in charge of 100% everything. Bloober Team are just the guys who are making the game, but all the decisions, everything, that's all by Konami. So whatever goes wrong with this remake, or hopefully, I didn't mean to jinx it there. If something does go wrong with this remake, if it doesn't turn out to be good, or if, if it's woke like people are already saying, or if it's just not as good as the original, just if it's a bad game in general, I highly doubt, I am willing to bet actual money that Blooper Team probably had nothing to do with it. Because like I said, man, they're on a tight leash. Konami has got them by the balls and the ass. So there's no way. And besides, like I said, Blooper Team loves Silent Hill. They love that franchise. If it wasn't for the Silent Hill franchise, Blooper Team would have never been able to make their own games. And The Medium, a game that they made back in 2021, I believe, or 2020, doesn't really matter. That game was inspired by Silent Hill. So Blooper Team is a good company. They're a good developer. I've loved Blooper Team since the Layers of Fear franchise, and I get that a lot of people don't like Blooper Team. A lot of people say that their games are mediocre, and I'm not going to lie and say that they're amazing games, and they are kind of mediocre. The Layers of Fear franchise is more of a guilty pleasure than an actual good horror franchise. I mean, I enjoy it because, I'm a sucker for horror games. I'm a sucker for psychological horror. I'm a sucker for haunted houses. I mean, what do you want from me? I enjoyed the first Layers of Fear because it took place in a creepy mansion, and the mansion would be, shifting and stuff and changing. Like, I like that shit. That's my cup of tea when it comes to psychological horror. And then Observer, which is a game that I got a kick out of because that game was a total mindfuck. I love Blooper Team. I love their games. I love them in general. They're a great developer, in my opinion. So I'm not defending Blooper Team just because I'm a fan of Blooper Team. I'm defending Blooper Team because I truly do believe in my heart that they would never want to make a bad remake of a game, let alone a franchise that they're a fan of, like, because they're a fan of the whole Silent Hill franchise. Like, they love the whole franchise. So I highly doubt that they would ruin the opportunity of remaking arguably the best game in that franchise. Because you got people who think that Silent Hill 1 is better than Silent Hill 2, which, well, that's their opinion, but whatever. But anyways, this game I am very hyped for. I'm very excited for, and I even went as far as to pre-order the deluxe edition of the game on both my PlayStation and even on my Steam account because I'm getting a Steam Deck in a couple of weeks, so I pre-ordered it on both platforms. Got it on PlayStation, PC, and as soon as it drops on the Xbox, I'm gonna get it on the Xbox as well. I don't even play my Xbox anymore, and I'm still gonna get it on the Xbox too, so I can support the devs. Because I want more Silent Hill. I want this franchise to come back, and hopefully, the next couple of Silent Hill games that come out will not be as bad as the shit message, or I'm sorry, the short message. God, that game was awful. One of the worst horror games I've played this year. Despite the fact that it was free, I still felt like I wasted something on it. And that's something I wasted on it was my time. I may have not wasted money on it, thank God, but I wasted my time. Silent Hill, the short message, was one of the worst horror games I ever played. You ever see that one horror game, One Leaves, that one cringy horror game where it's actually just one big anti-smoking ad? Silent Hill, the short message, felt like just one big anti-bullying ad. Everything in that game just felt like propaganda. So that game was trash. Absolute garbage. The fact they even had the audacity to call that a Silent Hill game is terrible. So I want this franchise to come back. I want this franchise to make a comeback like Resident Evil made a comeback, Alone in the Dark made a comeback. Well, I want to say that Dead Space kind of made a comeback too, but they fucking canceled the Dead Space 2 remake. But besides the point, and hopefully Konami doesn't fuck things up like they usually do because, like I've said before, Konami is scum. They're a bad company. I cannot stand Konami. They've been butchering the Silent Hill franchise since the beginning. Or maybe not since the beginning, I would say since they, gave the franchise to Western developers and, then they started making shitty sequels and such. But, I'm trying to stay positive for the future of Silent Hill. I'm trying to stay positive for Silent Hill F, which looks good, and Silent Hill Townfall as well. Those two look decent, especially Silent Hill F. it looks like a pretty spooky game, despite the fact that there's no gameplay trailers or anything like that, just one short trailer on YouTube. That short trailer was enough to give me chills. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a pussy, but the Silent Hill F, it looks good. You know, it doesn't look half bad. But my focus right now, and I'm sure your guys' focus as well, is all on Silent Hill 2 Remake. Like I said, I'm trying to stay positive. The first thing that I want to talk about is, I guess, you know, if we're going to start positive, the graphics look neat. It doesn't look like a PS4 or a PS3 game. The graphics look pretty good. The fog looks good, you know, the effects of the fog and the town of Silent Hill, and those are all good things, because obviously these are things that we would want to see in a remake of Silent Hill 2. You know, the fog looks great, the town looks spookier and atmospheric than ever, and that was one of my problems back in the first ever gameplay trailer they dropped. There was not enough atmosphere, you know, and there was not enough actual showings of the actual town, because the thing about Silent Hill 2 to me is the town itself is like a character of itself, you know, because the town just has so many elements that makes it so interesting and so great. So, you know, the town looks good. You know, the fog, because to me that was one of the most important parts, the fog. The fog looks great, you know, and the fog in the Silent Hill franchise is iconic. So the fog looks good, the looks of the town looks good, you know, and we've only seen a little bit so far. So far, we've only seen a couple of parts of the town and then the hospital, but we still haven't seen some of the other locations in Silent Hill 2. So I'm excited for what they have to show next. I really am. But yeah, the town looks great. The graphics look great. Character facial models look great. You know, it looks like a PS5 game. It is a PS5 game, you know, and very impressive on Bloober Team's part as well, because you gotta remember that Bloober Team is a bit of a smaller company. So, you know, good effects on the graphics. Graphics look great. Fog effects look great. Atmosphere wise, I could sense the original Silent Hill 2 atmosphere as well, just looking at the fog and the town. So, yeah, all that's neat. Now there's something negative that I want to talk about, and it's not what you think. We're going to get into the Angela controversy in a minute, but the first thing that I want to talk about is the actual gameplay. Now, the first thing I'll say is, I like the map. There's a part in the gameplay where James picks up a map and he starts writing shit down. I'm not sure how the map feature is going to work. I'm not sure if it's going to work similarly to how it worked in the original Silent Hill 2, but I like how the map works. And I like how when you pick up something in the game, you actually see your character James actually pick it up and you could like look at it in your hand. It's just like in The Last of Us, you know, that gave me major Last of Us vibes. So that's cool too, you know, just some neat little gimmicks that I appreciate. Now for the bad stuff. Now, obviously, we all know that Silent Hill has never really had good combat. Since the original, and it's been like that since the original, and all the other sequels, Silent Hill has never had really good combat. And I was hoping that that would have changed with the Silent Hill 2 remake. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I get that I can't really expect a lot here since this is Bloober Team, and this is their first ever action horror game because, well, besides Silent Hill 2, Bloober Team has never really made an action survival horror game. All their previous games have just been psychological horror walking puzzle simulators. So I get that this is their first time making a more action-orientated survival horror game. So I'll cut them a little bit of slack, but I think they could have done better. You know, one of the most disappointing things about that first gameplay trailer that dropped back in February was the combat and the overall gameplay just looked so unpolished and so unfinished even. If you told me that this remake was a fan-made project instead of an official game, I would probably believe you. As a matter of fact, and this is coming from a fan of Bloober Team, I think a fan-made project would have actually looked better than the combat in this game. Now, this could very easily be because this is a personal gripe. You know, this doesn't apply to everyone. This is very much a personal gripe. This could very much be because I have been kind of spoiled by actual good horror games unlike this game, Silent Hill 2 Remake, because, and listen, I'm going to say this right now. In terms of gameplay, it looks bad. And that's just my opinion, but to me, it looks bad. The gameplay looks bad. Not the walking around and the animations look okay. All that's fine. Just the combat. I meant to say the combat. The combat looks bad. It does not look good at all. The combat looks very unpolished, very undetailed, very unfinished, and very janky as well. I'm not sure if that's just me. And, it doesn't look as bad as something like Stray Souls, which is a fucking abomination made by horrible people. It doesn't look as bad as something like that. But at the same time, it looks like a dollar store Callisto Protocol. If you guys played the Callisto Protocol, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because similarly to the Callisto Protocol, in Silent Hill 2 Remake, you could use guns and there's also melee. But the difference is, like I was saying earlier, maybe it's because I've been spoiled by better horror games. Resident Evil 4, Callisto Protocol, Evil Within, Ghostwire, all those horror games have much better combat. And, the biggest comparison that I'm going to be comparing this game to is Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol is a fantastic horror game that was saved by its combat. The combat in the Callisto Protocol is very good. It's intense, it's realistic, it's heart-pounding. There's, the gameplay has multiple elements. There's a dodge system, there's a parry system, I remember. I think there was a parry system. Maybe I'm mixing up with Resident Evil 4, actually. I can't remember because it's been a while since I played that. But the Callisto Protocol had amazing combat. Its melee combat was one of the saving graces of that game. To me, Callisto Protocol was actually a good game. I didn't hate that game at all. I actually had a lot of fun with that game. But just like in Callisto Protocol, this game has melee combat. You could shoot a bitch in the leg and then you could pull out a fucking pipe and just whack him in the head. And, that's one of the reasons why I was actually hoping that the combat would have been better in Silent Hill 2 Remake, because, I like the thought of that. I like the thought of, shooting some bitch in a kneecap, getting her down, then just taking a fucking pipe and just popping her in the head with a pipe. And sure, I could do that still. Like, we could all still do that. Like, that's still in the actual game. It's just that the combat just looks so janky. It looks janky, it looks unpolished, it looks undetailed. Even the gore, like, it all just looks so unfinished and mediocre. I really feel like Blooper Team did not really get the point when we were criticizing them in that first gameplay trailer, because I'm not seeing a lot of improvements. The only thing that they actually improved upon was that stupid button promote. Like, remember in the first trailer when there was like a button prompt? Yeah, they removed that, thank God. This is not God of War QuickTime events, but it still doesn't look all that much dramatically changed for the better. It still looks like that janky, unfinished gameplay, or combat, I mean, not gameplay, combat. Because the rest of the gameplay looks fine. The animations, they're a bit stiff, but, they're okay. But that combat's going to piss me off. And, the thing is, all the time, I don't mind janky combat. For example, I recently played Alone in the Dark Remake, and that game's combat was very janky. And just like Silent Hill 2 Remake, it looks unpolished and undetailed and just a bit unfinished. Just too janky for me. And one thing I understand is a lot of horror fans or survival horror game fans, I see that you guys actually enjoy the janky combat. I'm not sure if it's a nostalgia thing because, a lot of the older horror games, like the older Silent Hill and Resident Evil games, had janky combat, and that's why I don't play older horror games, because I just don't like janky combat. I don't like janky, outdated combat. But I'm not sure. But, if you guys enjoyed the more jankier combat, that's fine. But me, I don't like it. I prefer the combat to be detailed, gory, realistic, because the more realistic it is, the more heart-pounding it is, the more intense it is. And when there's more elements for the combat, it gives me more stuff to play with. I love horror games that have lots of elements in the gameplay. Like if there's more elements in the gameplay and more mechanics and more things to do, then, that makes the gameplay more exciting and less boring for me. So, that's just something I enjoy. But yeah, I could get past it. I'll get past the combat not being as detailed as something like Resident Evil 4 or as intense and more realistic as Callisto Protocol. I could get past it, but still though, like that combat, I really don't like the way the combat looks. The only moment that actually kind of cracked a smile out of me is like there is this one moment in the hospital where James is fighting this nurse, and as he's fighting the nurse actually counters and grabs the pipe and like bitch slaps him. That was actually kind of cool. The idea of the enemies being able to counterattack you, that makes it more intense because it's just like Callisto Protocol, you know, because in Callisto Protocol, the enemies could counter you, they can dodge you, just like you can counter and dodge them, you know? Like, I like when they actually make the melee combat intense. Like, when they actually put intense melee combat with smart AI, I like that. You know, smart enemies mixed with intense combat and lots of elements and mechanics like that, you know, that just tickles me. You know, I like it. You know, it makes me smile. You know, it makes the gameplay more intense. Like, I'm just sitting there on my controller, just hyper focusing. You know, my heart's pounding, my head is racing. Like, I like the intensity. You know, I enjoy the intensity. I enjoy the adrenaline rush. I enjoy the heart poundingness. Like, you know, that's why I like horror games, you know? So that's the only part of the combat about Silent Hill 2 that I like. You know, that moment where the nurse counters James and like bitch slaps him. I like that. And, you know, I still like the idea of just being able to shoot a bitch in the kneecap and just, you know, just popping him in the head with a pipe. So, you know, the combat's not all that bad. You know, like I said, it's nowhere near as bad as something like Stray Souls, but I'll get past it. And who knows? Like, who knows? Maybe the final product will be better. You know, hopefully. You know, hopefully Blooper Team is still making some improvements, which I doubt, but who knows? Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, and this is where the video is going to get spicy. A lot of people are calling this game woke because Angela does not look like she did in the original game. Now, what I'm about to say is my own opinion, okay? So I don't want you guys getting angry, offended, or butthurt, but, because again, this is my opinion. For those calling this game woke, just because Angela is slightly chunkier now and doesn't fully look like she did in the original game, you guys are whack, okay? Like, I'm seeing people, you know, Silent Hill fans and just bigger YouTubers in general who are just like in awe over this, and not in a good way. Like, people are shocked, people are angry, people are even outraged, you know, just because Angela doesn't look the way she did in the original game. And also because Maria now has a jacket on and her belly's not exposed. Like, listen, I get that a lot of gamers like it when the women in their games look sexy and bangable, and, you know, their titties are sticking out and shit, but and you can see their skin. But listen, like, I really don't think the game is woke just if we're not getting that again, okay? And besides, there's plenty of games that still have sexy women where you can see their fucking ass and titties sticking out, okay? GTA 6 is going to have a strip club in it, so I really don't see the complaints here. Like, there's plenty of games that have that in there. Like, if you're only playing video games for the hot and sexy women, I believe they have something called Pornhub for that, where you can see shit like that without even playing a video game. Like, and I get that gamers like it in there. You know, gamers like their video games and their sexy women. You know, people like to have a boner as they're playing, but, you know, they want to play with their joystick. Besides that joystick, if you know what I mean. But listen. People were saying the exact same thing about Dead Space Remake when that game came out. Just because Nicole, just like Angela, did not look the same way as she did in the original Dead Space, I really don't think the game is woke. Not yet. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. I really think people are being a little overdramatic with the whole Angela thing. You know, just because she looks slightly chunkier. I mean, I even saw this one YouTuber who said that, like, that the game is trying to appeal to transgenders now by making Angela look fat. I'm not really sure how that makes it appeal to transgenders, for example, because unless Angela's gonna be a transgender, I don't know. You know, I don't know. If they made Angela a transgender in this game, then that would make her one of the monsters, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, that was a low blow. I'm sorry. That was terrible. I'm so sorry. Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry, not sorry. I like my dark humor on here. All right. I like my dark humor. That was a joke. Trans people are great. They're fantastic, but that was a joke. anyways, speaking of transgenders, people are saying the game is woke now. You know, people are already saying the game is woke and the game is ruined because it's woke. How is the game woke exactly? How is the game woke? Listen, if the game was woke, then James Sunderland would be a gay man who came to Silent Hill because his former dead husband sent him a letter. If Angela was a transgender woman, aka monster, instead of being a real woman, then you can say the game is woke. Okay, then fine, say the game. I would be saying the game is woke too, but obviously none of that is actually happening. None of that is actually in the game. So the game is not woke yet. So now that that's out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is the whole DEI thing. Apparently, Konami and Blooper Team are working with this group, DEI, I believe they're called, and just like Sweet Baby Inc., this group or this company or whatever, their goal is to add more diversity into the video games that they work on, including the inclusion of LGBT characters. So I can get why people are concerned about that, as well as, of course, the modern audience thing. Now, when it comes to the modern audience, there are actually two types of modern audiences. The first type is my type of modern audience, the modern audience that wants a modern Silent Hill game instead of being forced to unpack a PS2 and play one of the more outdated and unfun Silent Hill games, because those games have extremely outdated gameplay. If they're talking about that modern audience, you know, my type of modern audience that wants a modern horror game without those busted ass tank controls, that's fine. And then there's the second modern audience that most people don't like. The modern audience that is too sensitive, gets easily offended, and cannot usually handle the type of dark subject matter that a game like Silent Hill 2 has. Because, you know, if you've played the original Silent Hill 2, or even if you've watched someone play it, you'll know that Silent Hill 2 is a pretty dark game. I mean, it's not called one of the greatest psychological horror games for no reason, right? I mean, it's got a lot of dark moments, and there's a lot of dark subject matter in Silent Hill 2. And I guess one of the reasons why people are rightfully concerned about the whole modern audience thing, my concern, and I'm guessing this is your guys' concern as well, I'm afraid that they are going to censor or straight up remove some of the darker subject matter in this game. And the reason why they would do this is to not upset or offend or make the precious modern audience uncomfortable. Because, you know, one thing about this garbage ass generation, you know, Gen Z, or Gen Ass as I like to call it, a lot of people in this generation get really offended over stupid shit that they shouldn't get offended by. And unfortunately, entertainment is not safe from people like that, because even things like video games and movies can offend people because people are just that fucking sensitive these days. You know, it's called the snowflake generation for a reason. So I'm afraid that they will either censor or just straight up remove that dark subject matter just so they won't upset the modern audience. And you see, the reason why this would piss off me and a lot of other people, first of all, this is a horror game. This is not the type of game where you're actually supposed to be enjoying it in that sort of way. Like, you have to be an actual horror fan or a fan of this franchise to actually be able to enjoy it if you are one of those more sensitive people. You know, I mean, there's a reason why most sensitive people don't even play or watch horror movies or just darker and disturbing media in general. You know, like dark movies, disturbing movies, uncomfortable movies, or uncomfortable video games. You know, like, sensitive people stay away from that shit for a reason. Silent Hill 2 is one of those games, like I already said, it's one of those games that has that kind of dark subject matter. And That's one of the reasons why people liked the original Silent Hill 2. And you see, the thing is, if Konami forces Blooper Team to remove or censor moments like this, then that is a form of sabotage, because the story that is being told in this remake is based off of one that was already told. So since this story is based off of another story, if you remove parts of it, if you remove elements from the story, then you are sabotaging this remake. Because the remake is supposed to be faithful to the original, because this remake is 100% based off of the original. So if you are going to be removing or censoring things from the original, then you're sabotaging this remake. And it will fall apart. Silent Hill fans are extremely picky, and these people demand perfection, because the Silent Hill franchise is just that kind of franchise that is just that good for these people. So obviously, I'm not a Silent Hill fan, okay? I'm a Resident Evil enjoyer, and even I know that 99% of Silent Hill fans will be extremely pissed if this remake removes or censors that darker subject matter that needs to be in this remake, because at the end of the day, it is just that, a remake. This is not a new game in the franchise. This is a remake of one of the best sequels in this entire franchise, one of the best games in this franchise. So if anything is tampered with, if Konami rubs their little Japanese hands all over it and fucks it up, then they're fucking up this remake. In terms, they will fuck up this remake, and it will ruin it for not just me, but everyone else. Of course, you'll have people, casual Silent Hill fans, or just people who aren't really big Silent Hill fans, who will play this shit and won't care about stuff like that being removed. But although I am not a Silent Hill fan, I want to become a Silent Hill fan. I'm trying to get into this franchise. I don't watch walkthroughs of the previous games for nothing. And Silent Hill 2 Remake is my entry point into becoming a Silent Hill fan. And hell, I even want more remakes. A remake of SH1 and 3 and maybe even 4 would be great. Imagine if we could get PT back, maybe even. If this franchise gets popular again, who knows what'll come out. And if Konami doesn't fuck everything up, then they'll see that they'll make profits, the franchise will get popular again, and hopefully they'll make some better Silent Hill games and won't fuck it up again. So making this game for a modern audience only has one problem. If they remove the dark subject matter in this game, it's going to fuck everything up. And you see, here's the thing. Like I said before, Silent Hill 2 is a dark game. You're not going to make this a nice game for people. You can't make this a nice game for people. Silent Hill 2 is one of those really dark psychological horror games that kind of fucks with you, There's people that had their lives changed by this game, because of the effect it had on them, because of what they experienced. And that's what the Silent Hill 2 franchise is about. It's about experiencing a masterclass in storytelling, character development, and pure psychological horror. Not normal psychological horror, but pure psychological horror. Psychological horror in its purest form, because it is the best type of psychological horror in any psychological horror game. And this big, giant genre of psychological horror, Silent Hill 2, the original, the OG, is one of the greatest in this giant genre, because there's thousands of psychological horror games, and not one of them can even come close to the greatness that was Silent Hill 2. And that's just because of the psychological horror, without even mentioning the story, the characters, and everything else. Silent Hill 2 is a perfect game, so obviously this remake needs to do well. The only reason why Silent Hill 2 is not fully perfect, actually, is because of its gameplay. Hopefully, that's the only thing that will change in this remake, just the gameplay. But story, characters, all those other elements, Hopefully none of those will actually change. And hopefully it won't, because Blooper Team said they wanted to stay faithful to the original. And hopefully Konami will actually let them. And hopefully they won't fuck everything up again like they've been doing with this franchise. God, Silent Hill: The Short Message was so bad. I can't get that game out of my head. That game was so bad. I'm tempted to turn this into a rant video just so I can trash talk that fucking game, because holy crap was it bad. But again, not as bad as Stray Souls. Whoever made Stray Souls, suck my fucking dick. Respectively. Anyways, that's my concerns for Silent Hill 2 and the overall, for the franchise in general, because, as I already said, I want this franchise to come back. I want Silent Hill to have a comeback just as good as Resident Evil's comeback. Because it's not fair, you know? It's not fair that Capcom gives the Resident Evil fan base and community all this good shit. You know, us Resident Evil fans, we've been eating good for years. We've been eating good since Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and it's only gotten better since the cuisine that Capcom gave us with the modern Resident Evil games, the sequels, the remakes. It's only gotten better, and it's only going to get better, you know, because Capcom is a great developer. You know, they made the Resident Evil series great again. Why can't Konami do that same thing with Silent Hill? Silent Hill is one of the greatest competitors to Resident Evil. So why can't Konami do the same thing with their franchise that their competitors at Capcom are doing with the Resident Evil series? Konami should be giving us more remakes and more great sequels in the Silent Hill franchise. If Capcom could bring back the Resident Evil series with just one great sequel, why the fuck can't Konami? Hopefully Silent Hill F will be the first major successful sequel in the Silent Hill series, you know, because it was supposed to be PT, but just like Konami fucks everything up, they also fuck Hideo Kojima. So that's why we didn't get PT. But hopefully this franchise will make one big comeback. I could only hope. I could only fucking hope. But yeah, guys, let me know. What do you think about the future of the Silent Hill series? What do you think about Silent Hill 2 Remake? If you stuck by till the end of this video, thank you so very much for hearing me ramble on for over 37 minutes. I really appreciate it. Again, what do you think about Silent Hill 2 Remake? Did you see the trailer? Did you see the gameplay? Let me know what you think. And yeah, let me hear your thoughts. Your comments would be very much appreciated. Let me know down below. And yeah, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And I will see you guys in the next discussion video. Take care, y'all. Peace out.